During my pregnancy with my daughter, I gained 60 pounds. And before she was even born, people kept telling me the same thing. Don't worry, you're young. You're going to bounce back. And at first I wanted to believe them because it sounded so comforting. Like some magical reset button was just waiting for me on the other side of having her, that I could just push and I would be magically back to how I was before I was pregnant. And because I'm young, I'd be able to just push that button and get back to normal. Well, after she was born, I still felt exhausted, uncomfortable, and just not like myself at all. And I realized something super important. You don't just bounce back. It doesn't just happen because someone said it would happen. It doesn't happen overnight. You don't get this magical transformation just because the baby was born. And you don't just have the baby and you're magically back to this amazing place where you're feeling good in your body again. And honestly, if I had just listened to their advice, a lot of the advice that I had been given, and waited for this magical moment that would create my bounce back, I'd still be in that place, still miserable, still frustrated, still surviving through my days, and still hating the way I felt in my own body, feeling like a stranger in it. But I'm here to tell you, you don't have to wait for this perfect magical time, because a perfect time doesn't exist. And today we're going to talk about how you can stop waiting and start taking some small, manageable steps to get yourself closer to feeling like you again. Thanks, and welcome back to the Nourished and Thriving Mama podcast. First, let me say this. Postpartum recovery is no joke. Okay, your body has just been through something that is incredible. Pregnancy, labor, bringing a new life into this world. It's amazing. And yes, you have to give yourself some grace. That grace is important. You need to let yourself have the space to be able to heal, rest, and navigate this new season of your life without feeling like you have to do it all right away. I remember the early days of being postpartum. They were rough. And I didn't have it easy. I actually broke out into this horrible rash. I had started getting that pups rash towards the end of my pregnancy. Just another thing to add into my pregnancy. But after she was born, I broke out in this intense, itchy rash all over my body, and like nothing was helping it. And that made recovery even harder. Side note, I drank a lot of dandelion root everything, like extract, tea. I was having that like every single day, and that was like the only thing that was making a difference. I felt like it was really helping me. Like something made me feel like it was really helping. So if you have that kind of thing happen to you, that's what I would recommend. And I actually had to do that multiple rounds because I thought I had gotten rid of it and it flared back up again. And then eventually I squashed it. But you got all this crazy stuff happening to you postpartum. And on top of like, I was trying to breastfeed, trying to get the hang of it. Like, yes, you have to give yourself some grace. There's a lot of changes. Like in a diaper, like some people were in a diaper. I didn't do that. But, you have a lot going on after having a baby. So you have to give yourself some grace. But here's the thing. Grace doesn't mean just like standing still and waiting, forever. For me, grace almost felt like it was like an excuse that I just wanted to believe that if I gave myself grace, that magically I would, get back to where I wanted to be because I was giving myself this grace. But waiting wasn't helping me. It wasn't going to fix the way I was feeling physically, the way I was feeling mentally. And this waiting without any action is never going to lead to any progress. It just keeps you stuck in this same spot. And I knew deep down that I just wanted to feel better. And I couldn't just wait. Even though I had all this stuff going on, and I was allowing myself to heal as well, you kind of have to meet yourself where you're at. But I knew that I needed to feel like I was making some progress. And that's why you can have grace while still taking steps forward to where you want to be. And it's just so funny because when people said, oh, you'll bounce back, I couldn't help but wonder. I'm like, okay, well, when? Like, what does that even mean? Like 6 months, a year, 2 years? And in the meantime, are you just supposed to sit there and feel miserable and do nothing? That whole concept of, wait till they're older, that just didn't sit right with me. And the truth is that waiting for this perfect time is a trap to keep you stuck. I've heard so many moms say it, like, I'll start when my baby sleeps through the night, or I'll start when I have more time. That's a funny one. I'll start when I feel ready. I'll start once they're older. I'll start once they go off to school and it gives me more time. But life doesn't just stop throwing you all these challenges. Your baby grows, you have new responsibilities with them, with your career, whatever you're doing. Things pop up. And so there is never a right time. And life just doesn't get easier. It just continues to change and you go through these different seasons. But I've had moms come to me that had their babies like 30 plus years ago, and they're telling me that they never lost the baby weight because they kept waiting for the right time to do something about it. And things just kept getting pushed back, and they kept not prioritizing themselves. And you know what? They never lost the weight and they gained even more. So then they ended up at an even worse point, and so many years they went through their life feeling uncomfortable in their body. I don't want that for your future. It doesn't have to be that way. You can make steps now to start feeling better. You don't have to wait. I don't want you to be this mom in the future that never lost it and struggled her whole entire life, feeling uncomfortable, having clothes not fit the right way, just not feeling like yourself, surviving through things, never getting a chance to like really thrive in motherhood. Every day that you just keep waiting and not even taking any steps in the right direction is like cutting off time in your future that you could be feeling good in your body and like all these amazing moments that you can have with your kids and your family. That's why we can't wait for these perfect times. Now, here's what I really want you to know. You don't have to like overhaul your life to start seeing progress. You can start small. And for me, after I had my daughter, I didn't have hours for the gym. I didn't have childcare or energy or financial means or, to be able to do things. And COVID hit. So if I wanted to find a gym with childcare, I couldn't even find that because nobody was even open. But I knew that I could do something. I knew that I could make progress even just from home. And so I started small, and I was just like adding more protein to my meals, really focusing on getting protein and veggies along with foods that were going to support breastfeeding for me. I know I ate a lot of oatmeal because oatmeal seemed to be the thing that was really helping. I would take my daughter out for walks with her stroller. Now, my daughter was born in May, so that kind of really set me up for the perfect time to be able to go outside and get these walks in, because that fresh air, that sunshine, that does really good for you. I prioritize drinking more water because, one, breastfeeding requires a lot of water. But that was something I was always really good at. I'm the kind of person that always has the emotional support water bottle nearby. But for breastfeeding, I felt like I had to bump that up even more. So I focused on that. I focused on doing quick little squeezing in what I could, home bar type workouts, deep core workouts that I found on YouTube, to try to just do something that would make me feel like I was in a little bit of some control, something that made me feel like I was taking some kind of action to bring me towards my goal. But I'm going to be honest with you. At the time when I was doing these workouts, it kind of felt ridiculous. I wasn't sweating, I wasn't sore, and I definitely didn't feel like I was doing real exercise. And I almost quit because it felt like, I'm not doing anything. But it was those tiny little steps that I was doing that were rebuilding my strength. I didn't realize this, but it was these day-to-day efforts that were compounding. And it wasn't until one day I realized that, at first I couldn't even be in a hands and knees position because I had so much pain in my hip. My core was so weak, everything was just thrown off. But I realized one day that all of a sudden I could do a burpee. And I was like, what? okay, so I am making progress. I couldn't be on my hands and knees. Obviously, if that position hurts, you can't do that. So you have to strengthen things and work your way up and slowly build. And that doesn't happen overnight. And that's the part that's really hard, because when you're in the trenches of things, it's hard to see the bigger picture of what is actually happening. You just kind of have to trust that the progress is coming if you stay consistent with the right actions. And progress doesn't come from perfection. It comes from consistency. And progress doesn't come from having to have huge amounts of free time. Small little actions done consistently over time add up. Those little YouTube core workouts that I was doing, they're really 10 minutes. The bar workouts, 20 minutes. I would squeeze them in. Sometimes they get interrupted because my daughter would get hungry every time I was sweating a little bit. It's like a cue for her to interrupt. It was frustrating, but I just kept moving forward with it. And I know it's so easy to dismiss like these small little things because they don't feel like you're doing it enough. They don't feel like they're big enough, like they're pushing you forward enough. But really, if you can zoom out and not be so trapped in what's right in front of you, and you can see how over time it's building, you're going to feel better about the actions that you're taking. It's like how you put one brick down, it's one brick. You add another brick, you add another brick, you add another brick. Eventually, you have like this wall or a house or whatever you're trying to build. But it's like it takes a step by step or brick by brick to build something. And then all of a sudden, you step back and you're like, whoa, look what I built, But you don't see it when you're doing brick by brick or step by step. I know it's a little hard. You have to look big picture and not immediately what's right in front of you. But it's these small actions that will build this momentum for you. When you stay consistent with doing them, you feel more in control. You feel more capable. You feel like you've got some kind of control, because when you're pregnant, the baby's kind of taking control of your life. You're trying, but ultimately, she had control of my life. And then when she's born, she's still trying to dictate my life. But, at least some little pieces, you can feel like you're in control. And that's so empowering. And that helps propel you day by day closer and closer to the goals that you're trying to reach. Now, looking back, I'm so grateful that I didn't listen to those people that told me to wait. I didn't listen for of, when she gets older, it'll be easier. Or once she starts sleeping through the night, it'll get easier. Or once she goes off to school, you'll have so much more free time, which all sound comforting in the moment because they're not forcing you to get uncomfortable or take any actions. But I'm glad I didn't listen. If I'd stayed stuck there, I would have missed out on so many moments that I've had with my daughter. And also for myself, because I felt miserable and I don't want that for you. So here's my challenge for you. Think about a small action that you can take. Maybe it's getting a 10-minute walk in. Maybe it's trying to bump up the protein in your next meal because maybe your meals don't have that much protein. Something that you feel like you can do. Doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't have to be a huge jump. It just has to be something. Because I'm telling you, it's those little somethings that you do that start the momentum, that start building to what you're working towards. And it doesn't feel like a lot when you're doing it, but it compounds over time and it really adds up. So if you're ready for more support, I'd love to help you inside my Nourish and Thrive program or inside my masterclass or inside my free challenge. I have a lot of different ways that you can start to move yourself forward. It's just those steps building over time that are going to get you there. Progress is progress, no matter how small it is. Even when you feel like it's not working, it is working in the background for you. As always, thanks for listening. Share this podcast with a mom friend who needs to hear this. Give me a review if you found some value within this episode. And until next time, stay nourished and keep on thriving.